were once told that maps were drawn to show the borders of the world, the ridges of the mountains, and the curves of the rivers. A map was always a faithful reflection of the territory. The territory stood there silently in all its mud, truth, and unpredictability, while the map was merely a pale copy, a guide we carried in our pockets. But something changed. Without even realizing it, we expanded those pieces of paper to colossal proportions. We made the map so massive, so detailed, and so vibrant that we eventually covered the entire sky, the cities, and our own skin with these flawless grids. And then, that silent catastrophe occurred. Today, when you look around, what you see is not the real world. When you look at the sky, the streets, the objects you touch, or those glowing glass screens that illuminate your face every day, you are not actually looking at the territory. You are looking at the pixels on that massive map. The map has replaced the territory. The copies have swallowed the original. And the truly terrifying part is, if we had the courage today to tear that map apart and look at the soil beneath it, we wouldn't find green forests or crystal clear rivers. Beneath the map, there is only a dried, abandoned, forgotten desert, the desert of the real. We are now just shadows drifting over that desert, deeply in love with the flawless lines of the map. We no longer want the chaos, the cold, or the danger of a real forest. We only want a digitally filtered, color-saturated, and perfected copy of that forest. We have no tolerance for the muddy roots of a flower. We admire the flowers made of plastic or pixels, the ones that never wither, because copies are always more beautiful, safer, and more controllable than the original. And that is exactly why reality silently evaporated, because there was no one left to protect it. Every day, millions of eyes watch life through the small glass windows in their hands. The faces we see, the places we visit, the emotions we taste, none of them are actually there. They are all carefully coded reflections of a massive simulation designed to look more real than reality itself. It is no longer enough for something to merely exist. It must be transformed into a displayable and approvable copy. To experience a moment is considered unlived unless you record it and add it to that massive map. We try to prove our very existence through our reflections on that fake map. Ask yourself, when was the last time you touched a rough and flawed reality purely for yourself, without presenting it to any eye or any screen? We are not observers watching the system from the outside. We are the ones lost right in the middle of that map, living inside copies that have no original. And this is just the beginning, because in the middle of the desert, the mirages are just beginning to take shape.
Once upon a time, imitations were made to resemble reality. Paintings were to remind us of a face, stories to not forget what happened, and mirrors were for us to catch a fleeting glimpse of ourselves. But this equation has been reversed. Today, we are so buried inside those mirrors that reality itself is trying to resemble the imitations. The lives, the skin, the joys or the disasters presented to us on the smooth screens before us are so saturated, so dramatic, and so flawless that the pale colors of the real world now seem insufficient, boring, and unbearable to us. We call this hyperreality, a fake perfection that appears more real than reality itself. This is not just an illusion. This is a voluntary invasion of our senses. That moment experienced while chatting in a cafe has no value anymore until that moment is frozen, filtered, and placed in a digital showcase. The experience itself has turned into insignificant raw material compared to its recorded copy. We have transformed into machines that exist not to live the moment, but to produce the image of the moment. Look around. Look at the smiles on people's faces, what they eat, what they wear, even the massive tragedies they share. None of it contains naturalness. It is all a staging, a performance aimed at an invisible audience. We mold even our own faces to resemble the fake templates those glowing mirrors offer us. We adjust our own emotions according to the reactions the algorithms expect from us. And while doing this, we are entirely unaware that the original, our true self, has long been erased. When copies surround everywhere, the true horror is not being unable to find reality. The true horror is no longer needing reality. Rather than protecting a forest, watching a documentary of that forest in ultra-high definition feels more meaningful to us. The bloody brutality of a war turns into a short video we scroll through from our safe rooms, a spectacle to be liked and passed by. Even pain is sterilized when it filters through the screen. We watch it, feel a momentary fake compassion, and immediately after, scroll to the next shiny copy. Because in this system, everything is just content, holding the exact same value. The walls that trap us in this endless labyrinth of copies were not built of iron or concrete. Those walls were built from our insatiable desire to watch and be approved. In a world without originals, we are no longer originals. We are shadows imitating copies of each other, mistaking the desires dictated by the system for our own, and running to the black mirrors in the palms of our hands every morning just to check our place on that fake map. The cruelest part of the labyrinth is this: when you realize you are inside it, you also realize there is no reality left outside to return to. We know these copies, this hyperreality, is fake. Why do we still continue to sit in front of the screens? The answer is hidden in the darkest corner of that labyrinth. We are not slaves to this system because we don't know we are being deceived. We are here precisely because we know we are being deceived, and we prefer the comfort of that fakehood over the coldness of reality. The system no longer has to make us believe in lies. It offers us a fake world, and we, knowing it is fake, continue to live as if it were real. We know a politician's words are empty, but we still argue over them. We know an advertisement manipulates us, but we still desire the product. We know perfectly well that those flawless lives on social media are fiction, a staged play, but we still envy them, and we create our own fictions to resemble them. This is the greatest illusion. While we think we have decoded the system's fakehood, we actually become the most loyal defenders of that fakehood. We are constantly offered the right to choose. We are told we are free to choose which news to read, which side to take, which identity to wear, which filter to use. But on that map, the choices themselves are already pre-coded. Those choices you think are free are merely a menu offered to you by the system. No matter which button you press, the machine always wins. The side you choose, the identity you defend doesn't matter. because they are all parts of the same hyperreality, the same spectacle. Therefore, even your greatest anger against the system is just another piece of content designed to be consumed within the system, giving power to the machine. But why? Why don't we want to return to that desert of the real? Because the desert is ruthless. The desert is silent. In the desert, there is no applauding crowd, no validating likes, or no endless feed to numb you. Reality is rough, uncertain, and boring, whereas this fake kingdom on the map is always bright, always moving, and always appears to care about you. To forget our loneliness, we step into that colossal digital hive. To escape our own silence, we voluntarily choose to get lost in this universe of copies that is constantly talking, constantly changing colors. We are captives who complain about our chains, but when handed the key, we pull our hands back. Living inside the illusion gives us a fake sense of meaning. Even as we watch our own extinction, we take a secret pleasure in being part of this spectacle. But the desert, that dried soil beneath the map, waits patiently. No matter how many copies we produce, no matter how perfect the map becomes, that desert is our true home, somewhere out there. So how will we breathe without drowning in this kingdom of mirages, in this wasteland of copies?
So, what happens now? We cannot tear the map apart because it has grown so vast that it is now seeped into all of our skin. Breaking the screens, cutting the cables, or escaping to the forests will not bring reality back. The original has evaporated, never to return. The desert of the real is now our only homeland, and the awakening begins precisely by accepting this truth. If you realize you are in the middle of a mirage, you no longer try to drink the water that mirage promises you. You accept your thirst. You embrace the dryness of the desert. That is the moment the illusion's power over you is broken. Our resistance is not to destroy the system, but to build an immunity to its codes while living within it. When you look at the screen, you will see those flawless copies, filtered lives, and fake tragedies presented to you. You will wander among them. You will walk upon that map, but you will no longer believe in them. The machine feeds on your anger, your desire, and your need for validation. As long as you react, as long as you try to prove yourself in that digital showcase, it grows. But when you stop, when you refuse to play on the stage and simply sit in the audience seat, the machine doesn't know what to do. Because the thing the system fears most is that silent mind that knows it is inside the labyrinth and instead of looking for an exit, smiles while examining the walls of the labyrinth. We call this the birth of the sovereign mind. Learning to see in the dark is not allowing the fake lights to blind you. It is being able to live without feeling the need to record things anymore. It is the courage to let a moment remain only in your mind, allowing it to fade silently without being validated on any screen. Facing your own shadow, your rough, incomplete, and flawed reality, and refusing to trade it for those shiny copies the system offers you. We are walking in the desert of the real. We are surrounded by neon-lit mirages that look more real than reality itself. But we are no longer afraid. Our eyes are open within this endless sandstorm. We are ceasing to be mere consumed data in a world of copies. We are connected to the network, but we never bow down. We navigate on the map, but we carry the mud of the territory in our souls. We are at the very heart of the system, and finally, we are awake.